Blog Talk Radio.
Everybody's crazy but me. Everybody's nutty as can be.
Hello, this is the brand new Girl George and the Dragons Radio Show. Welcome everybody. This is Girl George, and we have my old friend, the Gypsy poet. Hi, Gypsy. What you doing?
Oh, I'm here. I'm just enjoying the beginnings of the new year and the new program that you started, and I just can't wait to see what comes of it. It's going to blossom and it's going to grow, and I'm looking forward to it.
I guess we should call it Girl George and the Dragons, like everything else I do, because it's whoever I can drag on stage. So today we have one of my favorite musicians in the whole world. He's one of the best musicians I've ever met in my whole life. He used to play with me at the Stork Club, and he plays every instrument there ever was. I think he's been playing since he was 2 or 3 years old, and he's the only one-man band I know. He's played all over the world. And how are you doing, Ricky Lee? Ricky Lee Robinson. Here he is.
Hello. I'm doing
just fine. Doing? Where have you been playing lately?
Well, I took a long break and, just did a couple of those shows at the Missouri Lounge in the last few months. But I basically stepped away from playing regularly for a while, probably since about 2011. And I was working on a record and working on getting the rest of my life together outside of music. And I kind of
how long have you been playing, Ricky? How long have you been playing?
You mean totally, or like
anything? When did you start playing? How old were you?
I started playing when I was 5.
That's why I thought. What'd you play?
I was an organist and a piano player. And then I was also a cellist, probably between the time I was 7 and 12, and I used to play in orchestras. And around when I was 16, I got my first rock band together. And I started playing guitar when I was 17. And I have a birthday coming up.
How many instruments do you play?
I don't know. I never really counted it. There's keyboard type instruments and guitar type instruments, and I have a little bit of exposure to, I'm a cellist, a little bit of exposure to playing brass, but mostly, keyboards and guitars, I can get most of the kinds of sounds that I like from those two, and there's lots of different instruments that have that as the way to play them, so that's basically what I do these days. I have
how many instruments do you play at a time when you're doing the one-man band thing?
That's usually a guitar, a 3-piece drum set, and a keyboard, and my voice.
And you've done that at the Great American Music Hall, and we're at Times Square in New York, and where else?
I've been playing the last several years at South by Southwest in Austin. I still like to do it here in town at the Embarcadero in San Francisco. And occasionally I will go down to Los Angeles and play there, and I've also played up in Portland and Seattle on this side.
So your birthday is coming up. You're Aquarius, right?
I'm an Aquarius.
So what you going to do on your birthday?
I hadn't thought of it, really. I'll probably just not go to work.
Well, come on down to the Missouri. We'll have a party for you.
All right. We'll keep that in mind.
So what possessed you to get into music?
I don't know. I've been doing it since I was so young, and I always had a natural kind of, I can just do it without, like I was doing very involved classical music when I was a really young kid in front of large audiences, and I never practiced. I just seemed to have the ability to do it.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So where are you from originally?
I'm from New Jersey.
Ah.
And a little bit of New York here and there.
Awesome.
So I had a band in the late 80s and the 90s through around the mid-90s, and we played in New York City for several years during that time until the record industry fell apart. But we were talking to folks from various labels about getting a job with them, and that didn't pan out, and then I came here.
I see. And where are you now?
Well, now I'm in Oakland, California, and I bought a house here about a decade ago, and I put a recording studio in it. And I'm in there now. I have a bar in my recording studio, so I'm sitting at the bar with a hot chocolate.
That's really cool.
So are you a programmer too, a computer programmer?
I am not a programmer. I am a network architect.
Okay, whatever that is.
Basically, it means that I design systems that allow computers to talk to each other, and I got involved with that in the 90s after the band fell apart. I had been working part-time in a porno shop and as a taxi driver for many years, and so around 1995 I ended up with no money and homeless, and that was bad. That's all I can say. So at the time, I decided that I wasn't going to live that way, and I finagled my way into a job at AT&T before the internet exploded. And while I was there, I got access to a room that had about $1 million worth of networking equipment that most people would never be able to get their hands on. And when I had that in front of me, I learned how to do it.
That's pretty awesome.
So you created your own job, right? You created your own job, right?
I don't know if I created the job, but the thing was, at the time, there were very few people that knew how to do that. So, but the demand was very high. So, even though I didn't have a lot of experience, somebody was willing to hire me anyway because they needed somebody.
And you learned how to do it as you did it, right?
Yeah. I seemed to be talented at that, and I picked it up very easily, and I talk well. So, when I was being interviewed by prospective employers, they thought that I knew what I was doing, which may or may not have been true, but...
Now, you started playing with me back at the Stork Club when my hands... I used to play guitar, and then my hands quit working in about 2000. And Ricky was playing at my open mic, so I conned him into backing me up for a while. So he played guitar behind me because I couldn't play guitar anymore. We played at the University of California for the Moore Brothers had an art show there, and they needed me as their art project. So he backed me up on that, and we played at the Starry Plow with the Moore Brothers again, you know. And at the Stork Club on the weekend with the Moore Brothers. We used to, open for the Moore Brothers once in a while. So Ricky is an amazing guitar player, among other things that he plays, but his guitar is amazing. And the way he plays Space Oddity is just awesome. It's better than the original. Right, Ricky? I've asked him to do it so many times, he hates doing it now.
Yeah, I mostly stopped playing that. In fact, even if I've played it a couple of times since those days, and people are like, "Don't play that." We heard that one enough. And they don't mind me doing it, but then it creates a reaction where all of a sudden people start playing that song. And,
no, I love the way you do it. You're just amazing. All by yourself. I mean, he had a whole band and stuff to it. But you all by yourself, it's just magic. What did your mother do? Mother and father do? What kind of work did they do?
My mom was a speech therapist before she retired. My dad was one of the original programmers at IBM before he retired.
Oh, so you have computers in your blood.
I had that exposure in the 70s. He used to bring that home, so it was not foreign to me. I knew quite a bit about it.
Well,
he was one of the original guys that. Yeah, he made the original code in the 60s for the big IBM machines, and it was all done on punch cards.
Yeah, I used to know a guy that worked at the Federal Reserve Bank that was a computer programmer back in, like, 1973, when it was...
Yeah, well, that was back in the good old days. Now it's no fun anymore, but back then
now
it was
everybody
kind of mysterious.
does it. And now you don't even have to have all those zeros and whatever because it's all words now. You don't have to... Or do you still have to know all that stuff for the complicated stuff?
Most people don't know that anymore, but it all happens in the background. It's still happening.
But the codes are still there, huh?
Behind the words. It's still there, and anybody who's really an expert at it is going to know how to deal with that.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Nope.
Nope, you're an only child.
Yeah.
Oh, how sweet.
What do you like? What is the best feedback that you've ever received when it comes down to a performance?
I enjoy the immediate feedback rather than the post feedback. Mm-hmm. So I like. I particularly like I've been doing the one-man show for about 7 years, I think now. It's been a while. And I enjoy, particularly if I'm playing in the street, the way that kids under 6 react to it. They're just awestruck. They're like standing there staring.
They wonder how you do all those things at once.
I don't know. I imagine they're thinking, I want to do that.
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, God.
Corrupt them young. Get them young.
Yeah, exactly. Like young kids, that's the best. When you get kids to react, that is the most awesome feeling in the world. Believe me, I know.
So you got a record coming out? You have a record coming out, Ricky?
Yeah. So I made 3 songs for it 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, and then I got I had to take a little hiatus to get the rest of things in order here. But so then over the last year, I finished that, and I've got 10 songs, and it's not completely done yet, and I still have to get it mastered. So I'm kind of cramming to get this knocked out before I play at South by Southwest in March this year. So I have a few weeks left, with no procrastination time left, which is definitely part of it. I think it's important to procrastinate when you're doing art. So yeah,
wait
the 3
for the
songs I made
to
a vinyl.
Speak to you, right?
I don't know. I think whatever you do when you're making something, it comes out in it. So if you're reckless, that's going to become part of it, and that's sort of a piece of what I like to do on a record. So I leave myself no time to finish things properly, and a lot of times, somehow or another, magically, it comes out okay.
So on your record, are you playing all the instruments?
Yeah, it's all me, and what I typically do on the record is I do exactly what I do live to create the basic tracks. I don't like isolated rhythm tracks where somebody's got a drum beat and they put another piece on top of it, because I feel like the chemistry is all gone when you do that. So I play the drums and the guitar and the keyboard usually to get the basic feel. And these last set of recordings, I have had some help with from somebody that rents a lot of very high-end gear to more famous recording artists than myself in the area. And he's let me use a whole lot of stuff that I guess most people wouldn't be able to get a hold of. So I've been using a lot of things that you would have found at Abbey Road, or gear that doesn't exist anymore, and there's no possible way I could afford it, because sometimes these get, I'm using $20,000 microphones and such. And because of that, the new record sounds quite a bit better than my older stuff. It makes it sound like a demo. So I like that. And,
did you go to college?
No, I did not. I went to a community college for a couple of months and left. I went to high school. I didn't make it through high school. Yeah, well, it's all right.
I quit 10th grade, and I've been almost 16, so, school isn't really my thing. My daughter went to college, but I'd rather be in the
I decided I was going to be a musician when I was 17, so it didn't make a lot of sense for me to go to college at the time.
Yeah. Unless you're studying music or producing or...
Yeah, I was never that kind of musician. I was an artist.
Yeah, me too. It was just by way of figuring it out as you go.
Is there any particular instrument that is your favorite that you like playing, or do you just like to have them all at once?
Yeah, the all at once thing is it's almost like an instrument. It's like one instrument. That's the only way I could do it. I'm not thinking about all those things at one time. It's like it's just sort of one motion.
I see.
And I guess I enjoy that over just about anything. I also like playing classical organ, the kind where you've got both keyboards and both feet on the pedals.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
I studied that quite a bit when I was about 10.
Oh, wow.
When I was 10, I made my organ teacher go through. Are you familiar with this piece called Toccata in Fugue in D minor by Bach?
Yes, I do.
Very famous. Yeah. So I wanted to play that when I was 10.
Wow, that is phenomenal.
We spent a year. We spent a year, and we did it measure by measure.
Oh wow!
Gypsy Poet is a piano teacher, by the way.
Yes, I am. I'm a piano instructor.
That was really how I got the most of my chops, was from that one, learning that one piece and taking all that time to do it.
Yeah, the saying goes in the classical world, if you can play Bach, you can pretty much play anything, so I know exactly where you're coming from. Yeah, everybody starts with Bach.
Well, there's some things, I cannot play Liszt.
Oh,
that's a little outside my range.
Oh, please, Liszt was the first, he was the first rock star of his time. About your travels, as some of the other places you've traveled, if you've been around the world or around the U.S. or anything like that.
Yeah, mostly I haven't actually ever left the country, and someday I'd like to. All the places I've played have been on the coasts, and I have just. It hadn't ever really. I was very, very poor and had nobody backing me when I was young, and I had a band. But right now, it's like, and probably even around 1990, for 1995, it was a real losing proposition to do that. None of us had any money, so it was impossible.
Right, I understand that.
Today I've done a couple of tours of the West Coast, and I go and play in Austin. There is something to this with. I don't know what it's like to travel with a couple of friends and do that, but driving around by myself, playing shows gets to be a bummer after a while.
Oh, wow.
So I enjoy.
I think when you're doing it with a band, they end up fighting with each other.
Well, I guess it depends who it is, and I think the road is it's easy to romanticize it, but I don't think it's much fun.
Well, I was on the road for a while with Dr. Hook. That was a lot of fun. I mean, you never got any sleep ever. We were on planes every morning that stick notes on us because we were so out of it we didn't know where we were by then. And the road manager, 9 year, would put notes on us saying where we were going to go and stick us on a plane, and that happened like every day. So we never got any sleep. We didn't know where we were or what we were doing. They throw us on stage and we'd do it. But it was fun for a while.
Yeah,
I wasn't on it that long.
That sounds normal to me.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you did it for years and years and years, it'd get pretty much, and then you could never have a relationship ever.
Wow. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that you really got into?
Well, what I mostly pay attention to is popular music, even though I used to play that stuff. And I still enjoy listening to it, but it doesn't seem to be something I put on. So I mostly I enjoy music from the 60s and the 70s before things fell apart. And I think also at that time that there was no way of making a record without already having the goods. So there's no way anybody was going to let you into a recording studio because it was too expensive back then, unless you already had something that was worth listening to. There wasn't as many things had been done at the time, so there was a lot of open space to create.
Right.
So when I hear the music from that period, it sounds much more real to me.
Right.
And I'm still listening to things from it that I haven't heard.
That's awesome.
And I buy a lot of vinyl records today because the sound of it is so much better than the computer that it's just a totally different experience.
Yes, that I can see where you're coming from. Yes, the vinyl is a very different experience from the digitized versions of what we hear today. I have to agree there. It's just got a more substantial feel to it rather than having to download it. But there's still something more to the vinyl because there's that element of the past, that nostalgia that's there, and so I understand that concept. Yes.
Well, I just bought all the I'll buy all artists' stuff on vinyl. I just got the Raspberries, Badfinger, and all the Carpenters albums on vinyl.
Oh gosh, you got all the good music. Yes, you do. You have good music there. What are you doing now?
I'm probably going to play a couple of shows before I go to Austin, but the only show I'm really going to announce formally is when I go play over there, and I just set up in 6th Street. I stopped trying to promote what I do. About 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a little more than that. In 2008, I released something and it was promoted and it got on college radio and it made like number 140 or something in the U.S.
Awesome.
And it fizzled away, and I think I sold about $1,000 worth of MP3s. I don't. I just do it because it's what I do now. So I just and I don't really. I like it to be a surprise, and people don't know what's going to happen. And I don't like dealing with booking shows, or which is basically just how famous can you try to get? That's all it's about, because that's what people go to see. And I'm not interested in that anymore. I was probably 20 years ago, but so I'm just going to go do the show in 6th Street. And I am working on this job for the next year or two, which is not music. And after I get finished with that, I believe that I'm going to be able to completely just do music after that.
So thank you for being on my very first show, and thank you, Gypsy Poet, for being on the show.
Oh, hey.
And it was great talking to you, and we'll find you up on YouTube or Facebook. That's Ricky Lee Robinson, one of the most amazing artists you'll ever come across in your whole life.
Thank you, George.
Yes, absolutely. It's been an awesome show. Guys, check it out on YouTube and check Ricky Lee Robinson on Facebook and everywhere else you can find him, even on iTunes. And I hope that you enjoy the show. Thank you so much. I got to say adio for now. And Girl George, my lady, you are sparkling, you are funny, and I'm so happy to have been part of your very first show. So I wish you the best in 2014, and may the fabulous Girl George radio show take off.
And check out Gypsy Poet still has her show going over on her site, so she'll be having some more shows pretty soon. So she's taking a couple weeks off to help me get mine going, and then she'll start her. So watch and listen to both of them. So thank you for coming to the Girl George and the Dragons radio show and be part of my Dragons